we're seeing like some of our sites are like 10% of their organic traffic are coming from AI.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. How did this happen so quick? I just don't get it.
Yes.
I personally think navigation, just website navigation, is a bit like it's the lowest common denominator of structure. I don't think websites are going to die that quickly. AI does a lot of the things I don't want to do. It's not just the CEO anymore. It's like everybody on the team is responsible for being an evangelist.
You're very welcome. Man, jumping on a podcast as a founder, there seems to be two schools of thought when it comes to founder-led content or branding. Where do you stand in terms of founder-led branding and producing content as a leader of an organization?
Getting right into it.
Yep.
I mean, like, I think in terms of like accessibility, right? Like this is where I think podcasts are really kind of like opening opportunities to brands. Like one of the things I always tell my clients or prospects is that like for us, your website really is the best place to represent your brand, unless you're like a huge brand that you're doing Super Bowl commercials or, you know, TV, radio, whatever. Like that's where people are going to get to know you. But I think now, like especially with the proliferation of the podcast format and that there are quite a bit out there, I think it's worth it. And like for me, you know, it's like, it's good practice just going on and talking and collecting your ideas. I swear, every single podcast that I go on, I walk away with something where I'm like, yeah, you know, like I've been trying to think about how to like articulate that and I did it. So, I think it's good. I think it's good exercise.
It's good exercise, right? I was just listening to the Diary of a CEO with Steven. What's his name? Steven. Yeah, you know who he is. And he was talking with Alex Hormozy and Cody Sanchez and Daniel Priestley. And one of the things that they said about producing content is they help them clarify their thoughts to be able to coherently put it into words and then publish it. I'm asking this question because with GEO, how are the algorithms looking at social media content? How are they looking at, you know, how are they associating founder content with the brand? And then how does that affect AI overviews and other sort of search results?
Yeah, it's a crazy time right now. Let's just
man.
like say that. I mean, you know, it's a bit of a double-edged sword because I think we've all like built up these like habits of like what to do for SEO that are kind of like falling to the wayside. Like one thing, like, you know, we always ask clients to put our name at the bottom of their website, like in their footer, right? Website built by Solid Digital. And I don't think that's that relevant anymore. You know, it's like, that's just like been a habit. And like, it wasn't until somebody said like, I don't think that's relevant anymore to me where I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, it isn't. And so like, as it applies to GEO, I think like, I honestly feel like it's more like real human beings in a way. And I don't think it's like you can reverse engineer the algorithm because I think that it's trying to actually like find whatever it's looking for in a novel way, right? Like every search, like if I say like, tell me who the top 10 website agencies are on ChatGPT, it's going to give me different results every single time. And it doesn't reapply like what it learned from the last time it did it. It's just like, hey, this time I found this data and I think it's interesting. And I also think it's kind of lazy, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
What I see is it always like references like top 10, you know, web design agencies, blog post content from, you know, so-and-so. So I think like, if you think about AI as like its own kind of persona of like somebody who's Googling, I think that's kind of like where I'm at and how that applies to what we do. And then just, I'm starting to like throw away everything that I've done in the past for SEO on the sites and completely rethink it. And like, we're seeing like some of our sites are like, you know, 10% of their organic traffic are coming from AI.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. How did this happen so quick? I just don't get it.
Exactly. I mean, we talk about that in the SEO space with like formatting of your pages, formatting of your, you know, blogs, like the top 10, you know, best website development. That is such an easy way because, yeah, like you said, AI is as smart as it is, as intelligent as it is. It's kind of like a dumb user, you know, just searching the internet for
which is what most users do, right? It's like,
well, yeah,
like, we get most of our leads through Clutch, which is basically just like a top list of, you know, agencies. So it is kind of what they're doing.
with Solid Digital having, you yourself having a background in, more of a technical background, and Solid Digital being a web design firm as well as offering marketing packages for B2B SaaS, how are you thinking, just in terms of this conversation, how are you thinking about, formatting sites to be optimized, not still for SEO, but also for, are there different schemas you're implementing? Are there, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, it changes month to month, but
Okay.
I think the one good thing that I've, at least my optimistic view here, is that it's still about creating content and
Mm-hmm.
like legitimate good content for your ideal customer profile. Like
Mm-hmm.
talking about pain points, writing content where you're actually solving problems. And that's like what we've been preaching for the last 10 years. And I think luckily that's still a relevant thing to do, because if you think about it, humans are looking to solve problems, AI is looking to solve problems. So that's an easy thing to do. Wait, sorry. What was the rest of the
Well, I was just thinking like,
I got off on a tangent there.
No, I was thinking like, we talk about not only schema, not only
Oh, yeah,
creating good content,
right.
but like sitemap, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think schema is
Uh-huh.
becoming more and more important.
Okay.
And my prediction, my prediction is that the web's going to go away eventually. Like I just think like it's going to lose it's already got a bit of an archaic feel to it, compared to like what's happening on, social media and all the channels. So, but I do think like the best thing you can do with AI and the content that you're putting on your site is formatted in a way where it's like easily readable. Again, going back to like dumb user wants to quickly find information and spit it out. Like you
Mm-hmm.
had structured data, that's going to definitely be something that will help them. And we're building our own technology to kind of like help do that in a way. I don't think it's clear like how AI is going to browse the web or,
Yeah.
become a facilitator for, people who are searching for things that are on the World Wide Web.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think like we have to be open to the way that it's going to communicate. So that's like putting MCP APIs on your website, like, doing structured data, like you said. And I think it also requires like pruning, like get
Yeah.
rid of crap.
Yep.
Like
Get rid of the fluff, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like the reason why we all create blog posts is so that we have people coming in through those landing pages. Like if they're not driving traffic, get rid of it
Yeah.
because it may not be helping.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other part of it. I like one of the tools that we're creating right now. Like I personally think navigation, just website navigation,
Mm-hmm.
is a bit like it's the lowest common denominator of structure. Like it's like we are trying to put into a hierarchy what we think most of our users are going to do and use in that
Mm-hmm.
format. But that's not how AI is going to use it. But that's also not how all users are going to use it. So I think like being more
True.
dynamic in the way that you're presenting like what's on your website and what's relevant to you is going to be important. Like I know everybody's like coming out with like these AI chatbots that are
Mm-hmm.
coming down in the bottom right corner. But like I think it's not always about like I need to ask a question and like I want to do that. Sometimes it's just like I want to see the content that's most relevant to me and I don't
Yeah.
want to like click around for it. And
Yeah.
so I think like it's like simplifying your site, only keeping content that's doing work for you, and then figuring out like how do you kind of approach the presentation of your content in a more dynamic way versus like a static nav that is always going to
Mm-hmm.
be the same thing for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like a balance because it almost seems like we're in a transition point where people are still going to websites based on AI overviews. I think it was in your report at Solid Digital where they said like 90% of users who have an AI overview still click through to the source,
For
but
sure.
that traffic doesn't necessarily convert on the website side. So we're still in this like, kind of in between where people are still going to the websites, but they're also trusting AI a lot more. So
Yeah.
like that, yeah, that formatting and everything has to cater to both sides.
The other thing we could make assumptions on, like maybe it's not now, but maybe in a year, it's that the people who come to our site are more aware of what we offer, is unique about us. So we don't have to be so like introductory in terms of the way that we
Mm,
present our content on our site. Like my hope is that you've already done some research, you've worked with AI, like they've gotten you to a certain point. Maybe it's just like you just need to come to the contact page, but
yeah.
also maybe it's like just like what specifically is still the question that's on your mind.
Yeah.
And then like, let's get to that versus, the about us and the history of our company and
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
that stuff that already is not relevant. I mean,
Yeah.
we're in a fast-paced world. Don't keep
Dude.
fluff. Yeah.
Speaking of fast paced, you mentioned something about MCP APIs. Can you expand on that a little bit more for the audience who doesn't know what that means? And from my understanding, basically what you're saying is like workflows or agents that pull from different parts of the internet in order to complete their task flow. You want to optimize your page to insert itself or be easily like found in that workflow. Am I getting that right, or what does that mean?
Well, right now it's clunky, but it's basically like setting up tools, right? It's like if you're a SaaS product, you probably are thinking about implementing an MCP API, which is just like it's a standardized API that allows agents to talk to
Mm,
tools, right?
mhm,
That's the high level explanation of it. So
mhm,
in my future world, like maybe it's not MCP, maybe somebody else comes out with something that's better, but it's
uh-huh.
some sort of API level within your website that only AI agents, they're going to look for it and they're going to say, "Oh, you have this API that we can communicate. I'm going to
Mm,
just talk to that. I'm not going to go scrape the site and look at all of your content. I don't care.
mm.
Like this is what I want.
Yeah.
Tell me if you got it."
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man. Wow. That's pretty incredible, right? And then I wonder if there would be, how do you find those? Is that like keyword related? I'm getting into the hypothetical weeds here, so I don't think we have to go down that route. But man, something super interesting to consider,
Yeah.
right?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think we just all have to be kind of aware of like if it gets to the point where that is popping up,
Mm-hmm.
how do we implement that quickly for our marketers and have something ready to go?
Mm.
So I don't think that's not ready for prime time. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I've had some issues, like it's really good for like to-do lists, like, ClickUp or, those kind of things where it's like you can get a list of all of the things that you have due today. You kind of like talk to it like a chat bot, but
Mm-hmm.
it's pulling data for you. But I see an opportunity there where and that goes to like schema and data.
Mm.
So the more that you have your structured content data already built into your website, I think it's easier for you to be able to expose that data through some sort of API, right?
Mm. Yeah.
The other thing I think, and this goes back to, kind of like people that are further down the funnel already coming to your site,
Mm-hmm.
is that I think we have to be more interactive on our websites. Like I think we need to
Mm.
create more human tools so that they can like figure stuff out. Like if they're trying to solve like a cost problem on your product and how that compares with other things. Like when I started my career back in the 90s and into the early 2000s, like that's all we were doing. Like there was no content website. Like that really wasn't as much of a
Mm.
thing. It was much more about like, Progressive Insurance putting up uh, wizard so that you could
Like a
like find out what your quote is.
rate calculator or something. Yeah.
There was all these like very interactive elements. I mean, like we were called interactive agencies. We weren't called digital branding agencies or web
Hmm.
agencies. So I think we got into this like thing now where it's just like it's all brand and which I love brands, but it's all brand and it's all content and it's nothing more. And I think we have to and it's so much easier to build stuff. Like I can build stuff over the weekend coding now. So like just do more interactive stuff on your site.
Yeah, that's actually the direction that I was going to take the conversation. I saw on your website you're offering app development, but you're also marketing for B2B SaaS companies, which are, apps. They can be apps, right? With the barrier to entry like lowering with tools like Replit and others, like what's the best, not that there's just one, but if someone is coming out with a SaaS product or they're starting an app, what's the best way for them to go to market today?
Yeah, I feel like I'm like we kind of started more as a dev shop. And so we were very focused on, startups and companies that were creating SaaS products and software just and then we kind of moved to being more brand focused. And I think like now when I see like the GTM like groups and the communities,
Hmm.
it's like so over my head as it
Really?
applies to like how they do things now. I mean, like, there's tools like Clay and Sixth Sense and all of these like products that are doing much more in terms of like making content feel more personalized and all that.
Hmm.
and helping, product marketing basically teams.
Hmm.
And I think that's still like, you could build software faster now. Like, that's for sure. So you
Right.
can like get your product to market way faster.
Hmm.
Like, literally you can do things over the weekend and have something to push up. But there's so much noise.
Hmm.
It still requires a lot of effort and a lot of money to like get heard. That's
Yeah.
the that's the
Yeah.
bottom line. So yeah, your engineering time might, pick up. But the other problem with that too is like, you don't have a whole lot of time to think about what your marketing plan is going to be, right? It's like,
Sure.
well, I just like
Yeah.
want to launch this product, so I'm just going to get it out there, and then you're,
Yeah.
4 weeks later, you're like, oh, nobody's installing my
Yeah.
app.
One of the best ways that I've found, at least internally, is to find a challenge that I have internally, like in my role or in the business, build a product or at least an MVP with something like Replit, deploy it. Hopefully, it solves my problem, and then reach out to the industry, my industry friends in a similar role, and then go that route. I'm curious
Yes,
what,
yes.
what kind of internal tools are you guys building, if any at all? I'm sure you are, that are helping you guys scale.
So we have something we're launching, and our go-to-market plan is not fully baked, of
Sure.
course, but it's called Path Pilot, and it is very much what you just said. Like, it goes back to like the navigation thing for me. It's like, how do I, figure out what people want to see next? And maybe it's like by analyzing the behavior of people that were on the site that actually converted for me, and then analyzing like the comparison of like where somebody is in their own user journey on my site. And then based on that, I can make recommendations of other people like you went here next. And so like
Mm,
that, but yes, like it should be something that you want to put on your website, or a product that you want to use in your day-to-day job, and then see if it works for you. I created this doc variables plugin for Google about 10 years ago.
mhm.
And it was really just what you said. Like, I wanted an easier way to write proposals. And I thought about like, if I had a way that I could just have variables within my document, and then I could just fill those in, and it exported, a new version of that document with those variables filled in, it would save me a lot of time. And I use it every single day still. So like,
Boom.
again, it's like proved to me that this is something that, and like, I'm a salesperson, right? Like, most of my job is like talking to prospects, and like,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in the product, like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna sell it. That's
Yeah. Yeah. And
absolutely
and
true.
what better way to believe in it than to obviously use it yourself and have your own case study, right? I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
as an entrepreneur, like sales is probably a majority of your job, even as you get up into, running a bigger agency. I'm
100%.
curious at the state that you're in right now and, being a leader over a company of your size, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have in your position today?
Well, I mean, I think it goes back to like what we were talking about earlier. I think you have to be visible on so many different channels, and I think we used to be able to rely on some specific keywords that would bring traffic to us, and those keywords aren't working as well as they were in the past.
Hmm.
And so I think like there is a bit of, you just got to get yourself out there, and you got to like have some opinions, and you got to have some personality, and it's going to come back to the people that are on your team, not just the brand. And like, I think you can look at the way AI is behaving, and even like Google AI and all of these companies. Like, there's people at different levels of the organization who are presenting the new features or
Mm,
talking to podcasters about their opinions on stuff, and like they are getting out there. It's not just the CEO
yeah.
anymore. It's
Yeah.
like everybody on the team is responsible for being an evangelist.
Yeah. So, I mean, probably balancing business operations, getting in front of bigger and better prospects, but at the same time, like sharing what you're doing as far as like who you are as a personality, as well as what your business does. I mean, it's a lot to balance, dude. It's a
It
lot.
is, but it's also, you should be able to answer questions quickly, and you
Uh
should
huh.
have opinions. I think like as a CEO. I mean, like,
Hmm.
I've been doing this for 18 years. I definitely have opinion on every single thing. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to prep as much for podcasts anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So I think like that is like, you got to spend some time thinking about, well, and you also get direct feedback from your clients, because they're asking you the questions, like you're the expert too. So there is a bit of like cataloging the things that they're asking, using those questions as reference points for what do I have to research, and
Hmm.
then just being in it. I mean, I consume so much content about, I mean, specifically AI and,
Hmm.
how it's impacting our industry. So
Yeah. I'm curious. Well, I have a couple questions, but there's one that's really poignant to me. With what are the toughest decisions that you think you'll have to make 12 months down the line when it comes to either running your agency or strategy or, personnel? I'm just curious, like what's on the horizon, which is not here yet, but you're like, man,
I
I
could,
don't want to cross that bridge.
well, I don't know if I don't want to cross the bridge, but I can tell you what's on my mind right now
Mm.
is that I think like there's a lot of lower level positions that we had in the agency that are no longer relevant. It's
Yeah.
like it's already the case. And so our team is tightening up and everybody's using AI. And so they're able to do more in less time. So, but 50% of my revenue is based on hours and like how much
Mm.
time it takes for us to do things,
Hmm.
right? Which is like there's like this counterbalance of like, well, it's taking us less time to do the same amount of work quality
Hmm.
as it was before, but then now our clients don't have to pay. Now our clients can pay us a tenth of what they were paying before, but I
Hmm.
can't run a business that way.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think at some point we have to move away from that TNF model
Hmm.
and we have to start being more like, yeah, no, you're going to have to know, we are using AI to
Yeah.
help us with our jobs, but that doesn't mean that you can do it because we still have to like be accountable for what is coming back. Like,
Yeah.
as a developer it's vibe coding all the time, like I still got to do code reviews. I still find crap like ideas that AI is throwing out there. And if it gets blocked and it's just showing a bunch of bugs, like if you don't have the experience of being able to sift through the code, you're going to end up basically like with just a bunch of slop.
Yeah.
So I think there is still this need for people who have I mean, it's a new ability kind of, right? It's like, it's almost more like a product manager than it is like a developer.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
have to have that specialty. And, I think we're going to get to a point in 12 months where, our team isn't as utilized, but they're still pumping out the same amount of work. And our clients are going to have to adjust to being able to pay us for that expertise versus just the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a fundamental shift from, like you said, the TNM model to the output model or the value model. It's like, hey,
Absolutely.
wouldn't it be actually worth more if we could get you the solution faster?
Totally. Yeah.
Like, right?
I don't understand why people don't do that anyways, right? Like,
Yeah,
I will pay a carpenter to finish something in 2 days,
100%.
versus 3 weeks. Like, yeah,
Right.
please.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Of course. So, along with that, I'm curious, and I've been having this thought a lot. A lot of the conversation is AI makes us way more efficient, and we can complete 100% of our work in 20% of the time with the use of these tools. But that's kind of where the conversation ends. It's like, what are we going to do with that extra time? And I'm curious how you, as a leader, from your standpoint, seeing you have now a smaller team, if a majority of your role as the entrepreneur is continuing to get in front of prospects, get in front of, bigger and better clients, is there an opportunity for you to help your team maybe step more into not a sales role, but like an influential role like that? Or, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, what are your thoughts with like, how will your people use their time?
I mean, it goes to like what I was saying before, like get them on podcasts too, right? Like
Yeah.
talking about their opinions and what
Yeah.
they're doing for sure. I mean, I think like it's got to be more of a team effort of like everybody's involved in, broadcasting who we are and why we're doing this. So it's more like a partnership than it is like a, top down kind of structure. I also think people should have more free time.
Yeah.
Like I know other agencies that are doing 4-day work weeks.
Yeah.
We have half days Fridays for the summer. I think like let's reward people for being more efficient. Let's not like work them to death. And I think
Hmm.
we'll all be happier.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of both. Like creating new technology. I mean, like that's like, in our downtime, like being able to like have our own internal projects that we're working on. That's like exciting for us and doing that. I'm cool with people going and doing other little things that interest
Yeah.
them. Like, even if it's, contracting with somebody else just to get that experience. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to, what is our team going to do as things get slower. I want them to feel like this is their team. This is their core team.
Hmm.
And we're all trying to work towards something that, is kind of always there guiding us. But I also want, I don't want the stress. Like when I started working in agencies, it was not uncommon to be like doing all-nighters, right? Like we were just so stressed out. And, that doesn't happen anymore. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'd love to move towards more of that.
Yeah, I heard on another podcast, I think it was the Artificial Intelligence show with Mike Kaput and Paul Reitzer, some guys out of Cleveland, Midwest guys, which I'm from Ohio, and talking with someone also in the Midwest is good. I always feel that connection. But he was basically telling, and for the audience, if you want to go look into it, I think it was Henry Ford revolutionized the way that we work. Obviously, one with the assembly line, but two with the 5-day work week.
Monday through Friday,
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how would that apply to what we're talking about with AI? We can get things done faster, so time to revenue is shorter, sales cycles are shorter, delivery times are shorter. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent there, but it's a fascinating story.
There's definitely an opportunity to rethink like what work means to all of us. And so like AI does a lot of the things I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I've never really cared. Like we know when we're supposed to have things done, when you're doing it, and is it 9 to 5? I don't really care. I just want you to make sure that you get it done. And I think like over time, and like, most of our team has been with us for a long time. So we all are experts in our own role. And I don't have to like be there to, make sure that the work that's being done is good, because I can't do it as well as most of the people on my team are doing it. So I think we've already gotten to a point where, we're all a little bit of our own entrepreneurs, at least in our world. Like, I don't know about the corporate world.
Intrapreneurs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. As we wrap up our time here, I want to ask a more, I guess, far out question, if you're open for it. All right. Let's say Jesse in 24 months. So we've already extended past the hard decision that you brought to me in 12 months. So the Jesse in 24 months who has an understanding of where technology, AI, the internet, agency space has gone. If he were able to come back and talk to you today, what would you want him to say that I guess gives you a good feeling that you're on the right path?
I think I would want to know that. No, I don't think websites are going to die that quickly. But I do think like I want to know that we are the things that we're sticking to when it comes to like what's important from a brand and content perspective are still valid in 2 years, which I bet they are. Like it's going to be hard for us to get to a point where, we're going to be just using artificial intelligence to completely create our brand. And it's going to be, better than a human could do it. Maybe like in 2 years, we'll come back to this and be like, well, he was wrong.
Yeah. But who knows?
But, like there's little things I just saw like the other day where, a lot of like leaders are not using capital letters in sentences. Just to like show that they're humans and not AI, because AI would never do that.
Yes. Guilty.
I mean, there may be like a kind of a backlash to, how much we use AI. I know already my son, like he owns a haunted house and he hates anybody who's using like AI generated images to promote their haunted houses. So I think there's already a sense of that, especially from the younger generation of like, that's like the easy way out, but like, let's actually put some effort to it. I mean, it goes to like, if you saw two of the same drawings, one was made by AI or one was made by a human, I'd always go to like the human. That's a more interesting thing, even if it looks exactly the same. Like they spent time and like they built a craft to be able to do that.
You want the story behind it.
Yeah. So maybe in 2 years, that'll be the case. Maybe we won't be it. Like it doesn't take long for a bubble to burst. We all know that from the initial internet boom and everything. So maybe it won't be as prolific as we all think it will be.
Maybe we'll be hanging out with each other in person a lot more often. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Totally. Yeah. Maybe we'll all get out of our COVID, safe spaces and actually get out and see people. That would be a good thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Jesse McCabe, where can people find you online? Where do you prefer to be contacted? And where can we learn more about Solid Digital.
Yeah, I mean, soliddigital.com. I am on LinkedIn, but like I told you, like I'm not great at it. I do like good conversations. So if you find me, reach out, and would love to talk and get new ideas and tell you all my crazy opinions.
Cool. Well, thanks for jamming today, man. I'll talk to you
Yeah, I
later.
appreciate it. Okay, thanks.